says in verse 22, then Peter took him aside. Y'all remember when mama used to take you aside? You cut up in church and she would take you aside. And began, get this now, listen at the text, took him aside and began to rebuke him, saying, far be it from you, not son, not lad, far be it from you, Lord, this shall not happen. This is not Jesus saying this to Peter. This is Peter saying this to Jesus. And when he speaks, Peter is saying in essence, I don't want you to leave us because you are the bridegroom. And if you leave, then all else will turn upside down. I don't want you to leave us because if you leave us, then the ministry of suffering will fall upon our shoulders. In other words, I want to be a follower, but I don't want to participate in the ministry of suffering. I want to be a disciple, but I want it on my own terms. And so Peter has his own agenda. I want to be a Christian, but I want it on my own agenda, my own terms. I'm going to frame what this looks like. I want to be a believer, but I don't want to give the 10th of my increase. I want to be a believer, but I don't want to come to midweek Bible study. I don't want to come to Sunday worship every Sunday. I don't want to subscribe to being kind and friendly to those around me. I got my own agenda, man. And I need to say that we have a lot of Peters that are seated before me this morning. They say, yes, I am a believer, but I don't want the ministry of suffering. That's what Peter's saying, and that's what I'm lifting before you. And Jesus responds, get this, Jesus says, get behind me, because you don't understand the ramifications of the ministry of suffering. You don't understand that redemption can't come if I don't suffer. You don't understand that all of humanity waits with bated breath upon what I shall do out on Calvary's Mount. He said, get behind me. Am I making sense? We have people who enter the hallowed halls of the university. They want the degree, but they don't want to go to class. They want pomp and circumstance played, but they don't want to do the research in the library and write the composition. Maybe I got the wrong message. They want graduation day and send out the invitations to family members, and they want them to gather to see them in their not aboard hat and robe. They want all of the glory of academe without the rigors of what it means to get there. They don't want the ministry of suffering. But I need to tell you that you cannot have redemption story without the ministry of suffering. I know people, I counsel people who want to get married. They want the glory of matrimony. They want the long flowing robe, a gown rather, and everybody comes and they want the rice throne and the vows and the kiss and all of the beauty and pageantry that's connected to the wedding. But they don't want, well, I ought to have some married folks say amen right in here. They don't want what it takes to make it work. They don't want, blessed be God, to have to wrestle on the inside to compromise. They don't want, blessed be God, to have to swallow their pride and say they're wrong and apologize. They don't want to have to work at it and invest in it, but they love saying, this is my husband, this is my wife. I stopped by to tell you that you can't have that without the ministry. So the master responds by saying, you don't understand. You're concerned with comfort and pleasure, but you don't understand the ramifications of what you are saying to me. Get behind me, Satan. You don't have any regard for the things of God. And so Jesus now is clued in on the fact that the other disciples are thinking the same thing that Peter is articulating. So Jesus widens his discourse. Now he's not just looking at Peter, but the text says he speaks to all the disciples. He says, listen now, if any man, you're not just talking to Peter now. He says, if any man desires to come after me, get this now. I'm about to drop a bomb on you. This is a bomb. It's about to explode up in here. He said, if any man come after me, he extends an invitation. Let everybody say an invitation. But the invitation is self-imposed. He said, let him deny himself. Let him deny himself. If you want to be a disciple, if you want to come after me, I want you to be a part. But you've got to first deny yourself. It's an invitation, but it requires you to be self-disciplined. We're fasting this week. We're fasting this week. No sweets this week. No sweets this week. We start Monday. No beef. He said, let him deny himself. Pastor's not coming on your job to see if you're eating a Snickers bar. You have to deny. Oh, y'all ain't ready. We're not sending the mother's board by to see if you cooking hamburgers, if you grill it. You have to deny yourself. Let me go a little deeper here. Some of us have some habits. Some of us have some things we struggle with. Let me be upfront. I'm the first. I have some frailties that I try to hide. I hope y'all never find out. Yeah, I have some issues. I got some junk with me. Anybody else have some junk? You got some stuff in your closet. You got some junk in your trunk. You got some stuff that you hope nobody ever finds out about. Stay with me now. Stay with me. I have a congregation here, and I have a wide variety of vices. A frailties, of sins, and one is as bad. This is not a place of perfection. I wish somebody would get that. This is not a place of perfection. I'm going to say it 3 times so it gets down in your spirit. This is not a place of perfection. This is not a place of perfection. This is not a place of perfection. You don't get perfect until you get on the other side. This is a hospital. This is where imperfect, flawed, fragile, sick, crazy folk come to try and get healing. This is hospital. Touch somebody and tell them this is a spiritual healing place. Horwatz, Stanley Horwatz, wrote a book some years ago entitled The Wounded Healer. You have as your pastor a wounded healer. You don't have somebody perfect leading you. You have somebody who's flawed, struggling with my own flaws to try and lead you. Here's my point this morning. I must, in my moments of struggle, I have to impose on myself the mandates of this book. I have to say, when I feel the urge for Bluebell ice cream. No, y'all missed it. Y'all missed it. Y'all missed it. Y'all missed it. I'm not talking about ice cream. Well, I need you to go a little deeper. Touch somebody and tell him he's not talking about ice cream. Whatever Bluebell represents for you. When that urge comes, my efforts to resist must emanate from the inside. If anyone desires to come after me, let him first, come on y'all, help me, deny. The church is not there to police your behavior. The pastor is not there to hold a gun on you, to force you into Christian behavior. It must emanate from you. It has to be self-imposed. And so hopefully, from the model of Jesus and from the teaching of the scriptures and from those around us, we gain enough insight and inspiration to impose this on ourselves. And sure enough, there are times when we fail. Sure enough, there are times when you're going to slip, but don't wallow. And that's what the old folk told us. When you fall, don't wallow. Now I went back to look up wallow, and I couldn't find it in Webster's. Touch somebody and tell them you won't hear Oprah using wallow. No, wallow is not. It's one of those terms that comes out of our culture that says when you fall, don't enjoy your fall. Don't stay there and roll around and become saturated in your falling, but get up and dust yourself off and start again down there. But you need understand that the policing does not come from this place. pastor can't force you to do anything. Touch somebody and tell them, I'm grown. But I submit to the teaching of God's holy word. Let me come to my close now. Let me come to my close. He says, to not only the disciples, but to all of us, he says, let him deny himself. Then he says, if you're going to follow me, you got to take up not my cross, but your cross. Take somebody and tell them you have a cross to bear. Everybody in here has a cross to bear. Tell somebody you have your own cross. Jesus, in the gospel narratives, carries his cross. But prior to that, he says to the disciples, you have your own cross. And it would not be the ministry of suffering without your own cross. Give me about 3 or 4 more minutes. You must understand that not everything about the Christian idea is peaches and cream. You're going to be talked about. If you are serious about your religious convictions, you're going to be persecuted. Make no mistake about it. If you stand for right, I don't care what it is, you're going to be denigrated. You're going to be disparaged. You're going to be looked down upon. Something as simple as coming to work on time. He used to work for Red Lobster. Back in the day, I was a busboy. Junior high school. Rode my bicycle to work every day. And I'd get there, and they used to have at that time a card. You'd push in this little machine that had a little clock on it and say, boom! And it would stamp your time on the card. And I had some people who would take my, after you stamp your card, you put it back in a little file that was right next to the clock. I'd have some people take my card out to look and see, now this is my card, look and see that I was on time. And because, nothing other than this, because I was on time, I became subject of the gossip meal. Who does he think he is? On a bicycle, coming to work. I wasn't trying to show nobody up. I wasn't trying to make nobody look bad. My manager, Miss DeGloria, told me what time to be there. She gave me my schedule for the week, and I came at the time they told me. But here I was, the object of much ridicule, simply because I punched in. So I've stopped to tell you that you've got your own cross to bear. Must Jesus bear the cross alone and all the world go free? Response comes rolling from Calvary's dark hill. No, there's a cross for everyone, and there's a cross for me. They said there is room at the cross for you. There is room at the cross for you. Though millions have come, there's still room for one. Only He'll had help here this morning. I need to tell you that there is a cross for everyone. No matter how holy you are, no matter how righteous you portray, there is a cross. Somebody shout glory! Glory! A cross represents suffering and shame. But if you're going to be a believer, you must endure the ministry of suffering. And so we participate this month in denying ourselves. On our way to Good Friday, we're identifying with Jesus. On our way to resurrection morning, we are denying ourselves. Somebody might ask you, why are you not eating cake and punch? Why are you not having a steak this week? Why, Rev? I want you to say, I'm participating in the ministry of suffering. But that doesn't make sense to me. Why would you participate in the ministry of suffering? Because my Lord did it. He did it that he might bring redemption story. Well, if I had time, I would tell you how that your bearing of the cross is not aimless, but it is redemptive. It is aimed at a redemptive purpose. After I have finished this consecration, after I have prayed twice a day, after I have read my passages of scripture, after I have done alms toward those who are in need, somebody said, just a closer. What will be granted if you please. Somebody say, just a closer.